Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We have a new little layout happening, new lighting situation, which I'm kind of into. Let me know what you think, if you like this better. I feel like it's a little more homey, but yeah. We are at season 5, episode 5. I just want to thank you guys for supporting me. This channel has been getting a little bit of traction and it's been awesome. I've been getting more subscribers and you guys are really enjoying the videos and that makes me really happy. I have been getting a few comments that I haven't been a fan of. And I just want to start off by saying, if you don't like what I do, then you don't have to finish watching the video and you don't have to comment your opinion on it. I am more than willing to talk to you about the show and the theories and the different relationships on the show and how you feel versus how I feel, as long as it's respectable and respectful. That I'm here for. I'm not here to be like, this isn't a reaction, this is just a review. I don't need that. I am aware of what I'm doing and I really don't care what people think. So with that being said, here is my review of season 5, episode 5, because I didn't get a chance to film myself because I was just rushing to get home from work to make sure I was watching it on time. And I actually watched it live today versus on DVR. So I tweeted a few things. So make sure you are following me on Twitter for the few times that I can live tweet or watch it live. I will tweet a few things during it. So make sure you follow that. All that stuff will be down below and at the end of the video. All right, so we start off where the last episode ended, which is with Archie, Jughead, Veronica, Betty, and Tony all sitting at a booth at Pop's. And they're trying to plan Pop's retirement and at the same time save the town. That has become Archie's main cause, which I think is very parallel to something that Fred would do. So that's really nice and it's cute to see. And then we get the couples walking home, and this so I've never publicly said it on here. It's very adamant on my Twitter. I am a bughead. I enjoy Betty and Jughead's relationship. Please don't come for me, all you Barchi fans, because believe it or not, this video, you're going to be shocked of what I have to say about that whole thing. But yes, Betty and Jughead are my ship. I think they're just really strong and compatible. And I think what's hard with what they're happening right now is that they never had a conversation about what happened 7 years ago, which is that Betty and Archie kissed while Betty and Jughead and Archie and Veronica were still together, which everything is wrong with that. So they're walking home and, Jughead flat out asked her, why didn't you reach out? And she said, I didn't think you would want me to after the voicemail that you left on the day of your book release party. And he was like, I didn't mean for it to be like that. I kind of think that he was drunk and he doesn't know what he said. And I really hope throughout the season, as we get more angst from them, because I have a feeling we're going to, that it comes out what was said, and I want them to actually sit down and have a conversation about what happened. But, so I think they're getting into a friendship area again, which is really nice. And I think both of them need that to start. And, Jughead says, it's really great to see you. And Betty says, it's great to see you too, Jug. And I was like, at least they're they're happy and they're actually talking this episode, when Jughead was just not for it last episode, which I really don't blame him. And then we get a similar scene to Veronica and Archie. They're walking home and she says, oh, we're gonna save the town. And then he mentions the rock. He goes, that's a big rock on your finger. And she goes, oh, you know, Chad, you know, she tells him a little bit about him. And then she says, oh, but you must have like dozens of ladies, like, you know, lined up. And he goes, actually, the last relationship I was in was with you. And I was like, oh, well, all right. Which makes sense, because when you're in the army, you really don't have that much time to date because you're deployed all the time. And I think he was deployed for most of it. So that's kind of interesting. Then we see Betty walk into her house and Alice is there. We see Alice. Yay, Alice. And she's like, I just got the twins down. And this is the first time where Betty's like, where's Polly? Like, we don't know where she is. And she was like, oh, she's working late. Like, and she was shocked, like Betty. So Betty goes upstairs. Then we see Veronica walk into the Pembroke, which is covered in like sheets. Like, they do that to protect the furniture. So no one's been there in 7 years. Archie goes into the El Royale, into the club, because his house is still being overrun by ghoulies, which I forgot to mention last week, and I'm very sorry. And then Jughead goes to the bunker, and then he gets a call, like a voicemail from his editor or his agent. It's like, they want pages. And, you know, he's just very overwhelmed. Then he has another voicemail that he owes $9,000 in debt, which is so much money. I would be freaking out if I owed that much. I'm freaking out when I owe, like, you know, $500 and I'm like, oh my God, I need to pay it right away. And I think that just shows, you know, how bad things were for Jughead, and how after he got his book published right away, it was rough for him. So then we see Betty in the FBI office of Riverdale with Kevin, and he goes, so how was the Bughead reunion? And she was like, well, not the greatest, you know, at least we're talking. And she goes through all of Charles's old files, and there's files on everybody and tape recordings of their conversations. And she's just really creeped out by it. And I don't blame her, because that is very creepy. And so we hear the one of when she's talking to Polly on Halloween, where she thought she was Edgar, you know. And then, oh, do we look at my sweatshirt? I'm representing. It was beautiful. And then we see Veronica is trying to get another job. She wants to be a sports agent, which happens in a lot of fan fiction I read. So that was kind of weird to like see, because if whoever's in the writing room is reading fan fiction, is reading the same fan fiction I'm reading, Bugheads were in for a great season, and Varchies, you're living your best life. But we'll get more on that later. And then she's trying to order something, like she's trying to get like a plane ticket because she wants to go out west, and her credit card is frozen. So she calls her husband, Chad, and she goes, the strangest thing, I'm trying to do some shopping and all of our credit cards are frozen. Like, what happened? He goes, oh, the same thing happened to me. So he basically froze their accounts just so that way he has leverage on her for her to come home and not stay in Riverdale, which is so manipulative and so controlling. It is disgusting. And that is just a PSA for everyone, that we should not be worried about who Archie's ending up with, who Betty, who Jughead, who Veronica's ending up with, as long as Veronica does not end up with Chad, because Chad is an awful person. Period. So she says, I'll be home after the retirement party, meaning Pop's retirement party. And he was like, okay, great. Then I think right after that, we get Jughead at the White Worm with Tony. He's looking for a job, which I'm like, oh, Jug, good job. Nice. Awesome. And Tony's like, can't do that because she goes, you're lucky I'm even serving you right now. And so he's still drinking, which I think will add to some problems. And he goes, why? And then Sweet Pea and Fangs walk in and goes, what is he doing here? And so they're not very happy about how Jughead wrote the serpents in his book. And Jughead goes, the serpents were the good guys. The vipers were good in the book. And I didn't even like use your names. And, you know, he goes, but you'd think they would know who, you know, Toothy is, meaning Fangs and whoever. And, so they're not really happy on how it's portrayed, which is going to lead me to my petition again that we should get Jughead's book published in real life so we can all read it and have a book club. I think that'd be so much fun. Let me know what you think in the comments below if I should really start this petition to the CW and to Roberto for this to happen, because we are needing it. So I think we would find out a lot about the 7 years if we all just read the book. Maybe. And Tony says to him, you have made a lot of enemies in this town. And then we get to Archie going to Weatherby about starting the RROTC again, and Weatherby's not sure if the school's going to open because Hiram is taking over this town, wants to get rid of this education system because he wants them all to go to Stonewall, because he wants them all at Sodale. This whole thing is so ridiculous. And so then they meet at the school board, which Tony is the guidance counselor of the school, so she's in charge of it. We find out Kevin's teaching 5 different classes. Alice is still on the PTA. How? I don't know. It was very confusing, but, you know, it's Riverdale, is what I like to say. And then Archie's there because now he's part of the faculty because he's starting the ROTC there. And, you know, they're trying to find a way to save the school. And Archie's like, okay, you know, we have something to work with here. Archie also goes to see Mr. Keller about trying to get the his house that's not even owned by anyone right now. His house that's being like raided by the ghoulies right now, and the ghoulies are living there, like how to get them out. And he goes, person you have to talk to is Hiram and Reggie. And he goes, oh great. So he calls Reggie. Him and Reggie go in there. Well, before that, he's over at Betty's and they're looking through the window, and Betty has this really funny line of being like, you know, it used to be Kevin and I standing by this window like hoping you'd be shirtless, and now it's me and you, like it's weird. And she's in the bedroom, and the bedroom is exactly the same as she left it. And when I mean exactly the same, like literally every single picture, every single decoration is all the same from when she left. And she's still having nightmares about the TBK still, understandably so. It's a very traumatic thing that she went through. And then she hears something downstairs. I'm jumping all over the place and I really don't care. She pulls out a gun from her drawer and she goes down, and ends up being Polly coming home. And she goes, can I at least make you some tea? And then the two of them like talk it out, and they're like, they want to take a good shot at being sisters again. And it looks like it's gonna happen. Like, you know, Betty really cares. So then we see the scene of Betty and Archie in the looking through the window to see all the ghoulies in his house. And you see the drugs, you see the jingle jangle literally getting like dealed and taken and passed out. So then we also see Jughead and Tabitha meet, which, let me tell you, if I can have one thing happen this season, is that Jughead has a long-term girlfriend that is not Betty. And this is coming from someone who loves Betty and Jughead together. And I kind of want Jughead and Tabitha to be together. Even though we don't really know much about Tabitha yet. We don't know her sexuality. We don't know anything. If she happens to be straight and or bisexual, I want her and Jughead to be together. Just for a little bit. I think it'll be very interesting. And I think it needs to happen. That is what I would love to happen, actually. I know. It's shocking for the people who know me and who talk to me all the time and knows how much I love Betty and Jughead together. I'm telling you, Something is happening. But he meets Tabitha and he's asking for a job. And she says, not for you. I don't think this is the right job for you. He goes, and when my grandfather was running this, it might have been a little different, but you can't just sit here and use the free Wi-Fi. You have to order something and not just coffee. And, you know, it won't be, and you actually have to pay for it. There won't be a running tab. And he's like, great. So he's trying to write his novel both in the diner and he's trying to write it downstairs in the bunker downstairs. He's trying to write in the bunker, and when he's in the bunker, he gets a phone call from Archie, and Archie's like, you know, at the retirement party, you know, I think it'd be nice if someone said something really nice about Pop, and since you're the world famous writer, I thought it'd be you. And he goes, yeah, like I could do that. And he starts interviewing Pop, and when he's there, he sees the debt collectors, and he goes behind the counter, and he's like begging Tabitha. He goes, please don't say anything. Please don't say anything. I'm here. They come in and they ask her, like, have you seen anyone by the name of Jughead Jones? And she looks to Pop, and Pop is like, please, like, don't say anything. Like, I care about this kid. Like, he needs help. And she goes, no, I think I'd know a name. And she covers for him, and Pop is relieved. And when they leave, Jughead is like, that's some first impression, but thank you. And Pop offers Jughead money to be like, do you need help? And he goes, I'll figure it out. And then Tabitha stops and goes, I'm like way ahead, but I'm just wanting to get this storyline over with. And Tabitha goes, that job is yours, the waiter job, if you still need it. And he goes, thanks. And maybe in like a few weeks you can call them and be like, I got a job, and I send half my paycheck to them. And she goes, I could do that. And my mom goes, do you think they're gonna end together? I'm like, I hope so. Because I really do. I think they're really cute, and I really like them together. So then Archie gets in contact with Reggie, and Reggie is working for Hiram. And they go into the ghoulies' house. Well, they go into Archie's house where all the ghoulies are, and Reggie doesn't find anything to kick them out, of course. But then Archie sees something very interesting, and that is Polly drugged up at the ghoulies and not at the job that she says she is at. And Archie tells Betty, and rightfully so. You know, I would want to know. And Betty's pissed, and she goes, when are we going to take them down? And so then they meet at the gym, and it's her, Sheriff Keller, Kevin, Fangs, Sweet Pea, and Archie, and they're all like planning it out. And everyone goes, where's Jughead? I was like, they're mad at Jughead right now. We can't worry about that. I'm as much of a Jughead fan as I am. And then we get to see them break in and find the drugs and beat up some ghoulies, and badass Betty is killing it. I'm living for this. It is awesome. So then I'm going to pause on the Betty and Archie storyline just to go to Veronica's storyline real quick. Well, she goes to talk to her dad for help, and she didn't tell him that she got married, and she wants part of the business, but Hermosa moved it down to Miami, and, you know, they're going back and forth, and it's not going anywhere. And, you know, she says Chad is, you know, intimidated by my alpha-ness, which, true. But we see her then at the Pembroke again, and Smithers comes up. Smithers is still alive. Yes, Smithers. And he's like, I believe someone is following you. And there's like a black car. And she goes, oh, time to bust out an old friend. And she brings out the Monica Posh wig, which is my favorite. And she goes to sell her Glamour J eggs. And she gets them for $30,000 along with a gun. And she blew out the tires of the car. Go her. And she tries to get a new car from Reggie. And Reggie gets her a new car. And he takes it that she's running away from her husband, but I think she just, you know, is trying to be ahead of her husband. I think that's what it is at the end of the day. And then she goes back to her father and she asks for help now because she wants him to talk to Chad, and he says no. Hiram is like so against his daughter because she said you need to learn and all this stuff, and he's blowing it in her face. And you know what? I feel awful for Veronica because she is stuck in a really crappy relationship, and her father is not helping her when I thought he was going to. A part of me thought that he would help her just because I thought he would actually, you know, be like old times and care about it and his daughter and want to help. Jughead actually ends up writing something really nice for Pop and sends it to his agent to be like, show this to them, show them that I'm not just a one-hit wonder, because it's a beautiful thing that he writes. And then we see, and then we get to Betty and Archie are cleaning up the house, Archie's house, like, sweeping and everything. And then, you know, they're going back and forth, you know, you see it. He goes, hey, do you want a pizza? It's like the least I could do. Like, and she goes, yeah, you know what? That sounds great. And he goes, I'm actually just going to hop in the shower first. And she goes, oh, I should. And then at the same time, I go, do you want to go first? And then they look at each other, and then we get them in the shower, and they're having sex in the shower. And this is my thoughts on it. I'm glad it's happening. I am. I really am. Like, genuinely, I'm not just saying this, like, so that way I don't get angry, like, Archie fans in my comments, because I still think I'm going to get them anyway. The reason why I'm happy that it's happening is because it is canon to the comics. You know, it was always a love, you know, triangle line thing between Betty, Veronica, and Archie. I think it's really interesting now that they're adding Jughead into it. And it makes it even more complicated for them. And I just think it needed to be explored. And at least it's being explored in this way now when they're single. And I personally don't think there was much, like, it was really awkward for me, I think. I don't know. I think maybe it was awkward because it was their first time and they had their first time together in a shower. That's awkward a little bit. I'm not sure. Something about it was off, but I'm also not a fan of people just like having sex to have sex. I like having a relationship and finding and being in love, and that is what's driving sex. And I know that's not how it happens in most cases, but I think it's more beautiful. And I think that's why I liked Betty and Jughead's relationship and Veronica and Archie's, because I think Archie was in love with Veronica from day one. Like, I think it was love at first sight. And then obviously, you know, we know Betty and Jughead waited a bit after they said I love you. Well, they almost did at that time that they said I love you, but they were really in love with each other. And I think so were Veronica and Archie. I do not think that in this moment in time, in this, where they are 20-something years old, that they are in love with each other. They're not. I don't think so. Do they like each other? Are they attracted to each other? Absolutely. But I don't think they love each other. Not at this time. Can they grow to love each other? Probably yes. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. Do I want it to happen? Not entirely. But if it happens, I'm okay with it. Because everyone is single, so who cares? Speaking of that, she is not exclusive with that guy Glenn from the FBI. They say that he's a side piece. A side piece is literally someone that you are just sleeping with. It's like, so she did not cheat on him. So if I see one more person say that she cheated on this guy Glenn with Archie, I'm really gonna flip out, because she didn't. She is a single woman. She is allowed to sleep with whoever she wants. And if she wants to be sleeping with this guy Glenn, who she's not even happy with, you can tell that from their interaction, and then go and sleep with Archie, go right ahead. Live your best life, girlfriend. Good for you. End of rant. But they have a conversation after, and this is where things get tricky for me, because, you know, Archie's like, Betty, what just happened? And she goes, something that we wanted to happen since high school. And, now we actually had a chance to do it. She goes, we're in our 20s. We're both single. Like, we can do whatever we want. And he goes, yeah, what does he say exactly? But he says something to the fact, like, can we, like, keep this to ourselves for a little bit? And she goes, sure. You haven't dated Veronica. Like, Veronica's married now. And I haven't dated Jughead in 7 years. And I was like, if you're both single, why are you so worried about what your exes think? I'm going to leave that right there. So then after we see, them have sex, we also see Betty call the place that Polly's supposed to be working at. And the guy goes, you haven't worked here in a year. And then, so she confronts Polly about it. Alice is trying to get Polly to come to the retirement party. And Betty's like, and, Alice goes, Polly has to work. And Betty's like, but she's not working because she hasn't worked there in a year. You're just running with the ghoulies. And then, and she storms out. And then we go to the retirement party, and Archie gives Pop a Bulldog's jacket that has his name on it, and it was really sweet. And then Pop says this thing about how he wasn't able to finish high school because he had to take over for the diner when the original Pop died. And, he just really liked seeing them all grow up. And then Archie goes, oh, well, Jug's going to say a few words. And Jughead gets up, and he has it written down, and he starts, like, talking about how, Pop is this great man, and, he's a father, grandfather, and, he's saying all these things. Most of all, he's, like, a friend, and he goes on this long speech, and he said, for me, you really saved me. And I was like, and he starts crying, like, he gets, like, choked up, and I was like, this is real sweet, real sweet. And then they all, like, cheers to Pop. And then we see the four of them at the student lounge in the high school, where Archie asks them if they would be teachers at the school, to help bring the school back. And they all say yes, and I think at the end of the day, the friendship is, like, the focal point, and I think that's what they need to focus on now. Now that they're revamping this series, we need to get the friendship back to where they were, so that way then we can see relationships blossom out of that. And then we see Jughead working at Pop's, and he gets a phone call from his agent, and he goes, they loved it, they love the old man story, and they want you to write a story about a small town and, like, about this. And Jughead doesn't want to. He goes, I don't want to write about that. And he goes, well, you have to. He goes, okay. And you can tell that Jughead doesn't want to, because he already hurt people with his first book. He can only imagine how he's going to hurt people with this book. Archie said it in the episode. He goes, Jug, you said you write best at a booth at Pop's. Like, just stick around. And that's what convinces, Jughead to stay, and, all this stuff. Then we see Veronica on FaceTime with her husband again, and she goes, I'm going to be staying in Riverdale for a little bit longer. I need to help teach and all this stuff, so I'm not coming back to New York for a while. And her husband goes, so what is this, are we done? And she goes, no, unless you unfreeze our credit cards in the next 30 minutes, otherwise, then yes, we are done. And I turned to my mom, and then she hangs up, and I turned to my mom and I go, well, that marriage isn't going to last, because I do not see that lasting. I think Veronica's much stronger than that. We also see Tony and Cheryl at Pop's, and they talk about how, they talk about this whole curse that Cheryl thinks she's under again. Tony's trying to convince her to donate money to get funding for Riverdale High to become a private school versus a public school, because Hiram wants to unincorporate the city, which means unincorporate the town, which means that Riverdale won't exist anymore, and then won't get any funding for school. So if they get private funding, then they can get private school. They can become a private school, and they can hire whoever they want as teachers, as long as they have a degree from a college, a bachelor's degree. And Cheryl goes, I can't, because it's going to start off as good, and then it's going to go bad because I'm under this curse, this blossom curse. And then she goes, okay, if you don't do it for the kids, can you do it for me? And I guess she says yes, because next thing you know, we are at the town hall meeting, and Tony is talking about how Riverdale High is now going to be a private school, privately funded. And you see Cheryl in the back smiling. And with the new teachers, Sergeant Archie Andrews, and then you have Yale graduate Betty Cooper, and then it says Barnard graduate Veronica Gecko, because that is now her married name, is Gecko, which is kind of weird. And then world-renowned author Forsyth Jones. And we also get like a pretty good glimpse at Jughead's tattoos in this episode. I'm still waiting. I need to see the chest tattoo for sure, because it's definitely his beanie with like a rose on it. Kind of living for it. But he has another one here and one like right here. Like he's like covered, and I'm like, ooh, hello, how you do? And then we see Hiram there, and he like doesn't feel defeated because he somehow still gets enough votes to unincorporate the town, even though my mom goes, it looks like that they had less votes, that really should still be a town. And I was like, oh Mom, what are we doing? Then Archie was texting Betty a little bit, being like, have you heard from Polly, because they still haven't heard from her. And Alice is saying, this is now on you if she's not here, because you ran her out. Betty says, no, I'm gonna call her. And then you hear a knock at Archie's door. My mom goes, oh no, who is it? I was like, I don't know, you never know with this show. And it was Jughead looking for a roommate. And now he's gonna start living with Archie, which I think is kind of cool. I'm kind of here for it. I think that's what Jughead needs. Jughead needs his friends right now. And so he moves into Archie's house, and then we see Betty call, and she's leaving a message on Polly's voicemail. And then we see Polly running from a Mack truck, like the last time. Or like the last girl gets on the truck, and it's the same kind of truck. So something is happening, and we're going to see what it is. And now there's a new mystery, which is what is happening to these girls. And that was the episode. And then the coming attractions showed that Betty and Archie are going to be exploring their relationship. Good on them. Here for it. And they're sort of sneaking around because now they can't stay at Archie's house because of Jughead. And I just want to be like, maybe if you just had a conversation with them, with Jughead only, even, because Veronica's married. I mean, yeah, she's not in a healthy relationship, but just tell him, like, look, we're trying to see where things go. They can't get mad. It's been 7 years. So you shouldn't really be sneaking around, but that's neither here nor there. And then there's this Mothman thing happening. Next week is going to be very interesting, but I'm very excited. But this concludes this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully next week I'll be able to record myself a little bit and give it more of a reaction feel. I feel like people want that, so I'll try and do it. Let me know what else you want to see on this channel that is in regards to Riverdale. Once again, I did start a podcast that goes up on Mondays on Podcast World, and then in YouTube World. It's supposed to go up on Tuesdays, but this week's was a little bit late because I got really busy. So that one should be up Friday, tomorrow. So this is going to go up today, and then that'll go up tomorrow. Just that way I'm ready for next week with the next episode. So if you are interested in podcasts and it's about all things Disney, I do mention Riverdale a little bit in there. I talk about Cole a lot because Disney Channel. But I think that will be able to have you guys get to know me personally. Never mind my Riverdale life. It's my real life over there. Not my real life, but because this is who I am. But my personal life is over on that channel. Is over on those videos. So definitely check those out if you are interested. Make sure you are following me on all the things, especially Instagram and Twitter. I have 2 different Instagrams. I have my personal, which is Catherine Rose, 2 T's, 2 E's. That's 2 E's at the end. And that is the same as my Twitter. It is right here and in the description box below. And make sure my other Instagram is followed, which is @StayWeirdReactions, which is where you find all things Riverdale all the time. Make sure you like this video, comment about what you thought about this episode, and what else you want to see from me. And most of all, I hope you get to stay weird, Riverheads. Bye!